I can't work it out, Andy. What is it?
I'm telling you, Ace, it don't matter what it says in there. It's a 355 because it's got all the bling going on.
Okay.
The 345 didn't have the bound headstock and a few other differences.
Yep.
But that was originally a varitone.
Yep.
And the customer has had me strip all of that out.
Yep.
And lob it, and it's now wired just as a 335, which is standard mono.
Yep.
And that, the 355 and the 345, when they come out of the factory, the pickups are out of phase, which enables all the varitone to work.
Yep.
And it had that old vibrato fitted, which again the customer didn't like, so I've taken it off and put on a vintage gold B7.
These are the ones that push in?
Yeah.
We'd have them like, yeah.
Yeah.
That would have been here.
Terrible idea, and it weighs a ton as well. Yeah.
But having the varitone thing out takes a lot of the weight out, doesn't it?
There's not that much weight in it. It's only like a big matchbox. They're not particularly heavy. I would have said a couple of ounces. In fact, I can show you it if you bear with me.
Oh yeah. So that's your varitone switch.
Yeah. This one's been dicked about with, haven't it? It's got all the capacitors in there.
Yeah.
And that, I guess, is a big choke. I'm not sure what it is, but there's not a lot. Well, a little bit of weight to it.
Yeah. So it just sat round.
That sits there.
Okay.
They're a right awkward bit of kit to get in and out. Because you've got your 4 pots, your jack and your switch, and your varitone switch.
Right.
And they were down to the last quarter of an inch on cable.
Right.
If you only slack.
Yeah.
There's another one there. I've done several for this particular customer. Another loom.
Let's see.
I mean, these are worth a few quid, isn't it?
Yeah.
But these are vintage, early 60s.
Early 60s ones.
Yeah.
Were they just made by Gibson? Did anyone else mess it? Is it like a patent Gibson thing?
I would imagine they've been hand wired in the Gibson factory.
Yeah. But no other company delved in that varitone kind of
Not as far as
selector thing, no.
And all the pots on the higher end guitars were fitted in cans.
Okay.
So you can't, the pot sits inside there like that with the shaft coming through there. You can't get into clean them, they're a real pain. You've got to pop the cans. And normally nobody puts them back.
That's what's been looked after.
So this has had the B7 fitted. It's been rewired. Put back together. And that's it really. This bridge is just not working very well. And the guy he'll use it. He'll seriously use it. It wants a roller bridge fitting, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It just drops straight on.
Sure.
But that's his call.
We'll have a look at you chopping it apart then.
Here we've got a neck pickup taken out of a 1962 ES-355, the stereo varitone model. Customer wants it wired as a 335. The problem with that is the factory guitars, the pickups were out of phase when they were fitted to the guitar, so I've got to change the phase of one of these pickups. So I've taken the cover off. Don't try and take them off with a soldering iron. Use a Stanley knife and a hammer and just shear through the solder either side. You won't damage the pickup and they come off quite easily. If they've been waxed, you would have to warm it up with a hairdryer and let the wax drain out into some kitchen roll or something similar. I've taken the small retaining screws out of the back and also the pole pieces. Got a very handy little polarity tester here. You can get these from StewMac and other places. So normally with a pair of humbuckers, the screw coils are fitted opposite each other. This is the bridge pickup, and you would have south up, north and north on the slug side. This is a PAF out of the original guitar. I don't want to disturb that, so I'm going to make this one, I'm going to reverse the magnet to make that north up to match that side, which is also north up. Ordinarily I'd have done the bridge pickup, but I don't want to take any risks taking the path apart, as it's more valuable. This is actually a patent number pickup. The guitar was from 1962. So I've removed the pole screws and the 4 little retaining screws on the back. Carefully lift the coil off to one side, and there you can see the maple spacer bar. And there's our magnet, which is magnetised on the edges, not on the flat face. So all I simply need to do is spin that over. And is that what happened to Peter Green's guitar? Who knows? Pop that back down. And now we should have that's showing north up, south on the slug, south on the slug, north on the poles. So there's that pair of pickups will now be in phase, and all I've got to do is reassemble it, put the cover back on and solder the cover. You need to be quite sparing with the solder on the cover, otherwise you'll make a mess. And it's always best to clean up the inside faces, and then you just want a small amount of solder on the back plate. Quite often you can simply remelt that and it will virtually look undisturbed. If you try and remove the covers by melting this solder, you'll just end up in a huge mess. And as I say, the easiest way, stand the knife like that, sharp tap with the hammer, and it will shear straight through that solder, and then you can just pull the cover off. Dead easy. I've also got to make up a new loom in a 335 pound to fit the guitar. The customers supplied these old pots, which are from 1960 with all the date stamps on them. It's a good idea to test them, so I've temporarily wired a pickup in to see whether they're scratchy or not, and they're absolutely fine. If there was an issue with them, you can quite simply take them apart very carefully by straightening out these lugs and cleaning them internally, and usually that'll do the trick and get rid of any scratchiness. It's well worth testing them because, as you probably know, it's not a 2-minute job fitting a loom, and you don't want to go through all that process to find out that your replacement pot's horrible and scratchy. Make sure you test the pickup when you've put the cover back on before you solder the cover, just in case there's been any mishap. That's reading 7.6 kiloohms, which is fine. You can't, like some people think, reverse the phase on a pair of pickups by doing that. That is just not going to work. You need a hot soldering iron for this, 450 degrees. There's quite a mass of solder, a mass of metal that acts as a heat sink. Sometimes easier just to press the cover on with a vise. And there we have it. You can buy patination fluid, which, if you wish to, you can brush some onto the solder and it will oxidize it and make it look old in seconds. To clean your soldering iron bit. So that is now ready to be fitted. Once I've made up a new loom using these old pots. This is the loom that the pots came from, and it was from a 345, I think, 1960. And it's interesting, you've got the classic Gibson braided wire, but at some point in history, and the anoraks will tell you when, they went from a cloth inner core, which is what you've got on these pickups and is very common, and the wire is still like that today when you buy new braided wire, to some sort of rubberized inner core, which is just rubbish. As it gets old, it perishes, and this loom was actually not working because there was lots of shorts on it. The components were fine, the switch and the pots, but the cabling or the wiring is scrap. One to watch for. And nobody wants to be putting that lot back inside a 355 body cavity. At least I don't. There's your patination fluid, or lead black as it's called. I suppose you could ask yourself, why would somebody want to make disturbed solder connections look old? Maybe that's a question for another video. There's a lot of fakery goes on.